Hey everyone.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, folks.
Fine, thanks. How about you?
Good. Got a new screen and just realized how non-obvious it is that it actually works.
But it does.
No, it doesn't.
Oh.
I have to buy like 5 different HDMI cables until I found one that worked, and then sometimes it still laughs at me. Awesome. Do we want to give folks a few minutes, a minute or two, something like that?
Yeah, I think that would be nice.
Sounds good. By the way, I noticed the link to this was in the community calendar. Are community members supposed to join this link or the YouTube link?
I think this link, so that they can ask questions. But I think that Rock and Brian might be also moderating, checking if there's questions on other channels.
Yeah, so if questions come in on Owncast, I'll just drop in and relay those questions.
Cool.
Okay.
I did not have access to the Google Meet, so that's up to someone else. Does somebody still have the Google Meet link so that we can pull people out of there if they accidentally went over to that one instead of this one?
Let me check, because I think we replaced/changed it. 1 minute.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have it anymore, at least.
I think I can pull it out.
Right. Hey Linus. Hey Martin.
How's it going?
Good to see you again, Ron, and happy to see the new faces who I haven't met in person yet. Hello.
Let's see. I'm trying to find if I can see the Google link. I think I removed it so that won't, so people will be able to join the stream.
Rock got it. It should be fine.
Okay.
Nobody's there. Rock says me.
Except
Says
Rock.
me. Yeah, except Rock. Okay, good luck.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think as we usually do, I mean, we kind of kick off calling out the latest things the board has been looking at, and then really this is just time for folks to have explicitly to kind of come into a panel, chat, discuss, talk about things that we should be looking at, questions for the foundation, but bottom line, just like brainstorming and hacking time if we need it. With that, happy to kick off and kind of, I think this is the first recorded version of this. So happy to kick things off, just call out a few of the things that the board has been working on in the last kind of like 2 weeks, but then really open it up to folks that just want to ask any question that's on their mind. We're happy to talk about it. And with that, anything else from folks on the board, or can I just like call out a few of the things that we've been looking at? Cool. So I'll really run through these fast because it's not the point of this conversation. It's more to answer questions. But if there are no questions, then we'll just discuss things like we would in any other board. One of the top priorities that we've been tackling in the last few weeks has been the NixOS trademark. So we have started already to work with a team that is helping us establish the trademark in the main countries that we're initially going for. Out of that, like the real work that's stemming out of that, because Nix has been around for so long, is actually defining a trademark policy and kind of making that transparent so everyone can use it for the benefit of the community. That's on trademark. One of our community members, and I think also Tiofan, brought up an effort by Google called Season of Docs. So we're looking into that to apply. Really, the bottom line there is Google is apparently potentially funding doc-related efforts inside like open source communities. So I think that's pretty awesome. If anybody wants to be involved in that, then I think I'm probably calling him out without checking, but like reach out to the docs team or to Valentin. Nick's 20th. So happy birthday to Elko. Officially yesterday, we started off the Nick's 20th like month anniversary. There is a huge thread on the Nix discourse about like various Nix community members across like a lot of different cities around the world interested in meeting up. We have like a board and foundation effort to help sponsor these meetups and just help get people together. So do check out that thread if it's somehow relevant. If you want to join a meetup, call out the place that you would like to join. And if you'd like to organize one, call that out and we'll definitely help you set that up. Other Nix 20th things, there's a bunch of things going on. There's a group kind of trying to work together on it. Reach out, could be cool. Scale is coming up. So Scale is one of the larger Linux events in the US. We got us a NixOS booth. There is a bunch of folks representing Nix going there, but if other Nix community members want to join, the more the merrier. This and also one of our community members is going to give a talk there. This is kind of trending towards a bigger thing that we're looking to kind of brainstorm and see how we can do better, but generally representing Nix globally, right? So there are a lot of events. We have a lot of community members close to a lot of these events, and just seeing how we can, get into these events, either give a talk, get a table, get a booth, something like that. And again, the board is more than happy to collaborate, right? If folks hear of an event that they want to see if Nix can be part of, then reach out to us. We're happy to reach out and collaborate together to the organizers and see if we can set something up. So that's been successful so far at Scale, State of Open convention in London. And now we're also potentially getting a table at Open 101 in Charlotte in the US. Last two things, we're working on releasing the Nix budget to be fully transparent just on the website. So also happy to talk about that. And we're kicking off a fundraising effort for Nix, part of which is also going towards kind of like the first hire, like specific hire that will support the community. That's my list. I don't know if other folks had top of minds that.
I think you covered it pretty well.
Cool. I have no clue if we have questions. First time recorded, so we might just be talking within ourselves, but Brian or Rock, I'm assuming.
I have arrived. There are questions.
Oh, cool.
So we'll start with the first one that I got handed, which is from Volpe Gabriel. I'm sorry, I always butcher names. But the question is there any deadline to finally make Flakes the only way to use Nix? If there's, I did see not everything got pasted, so that sucks. The only way to use Nix, if there's no deadline, but there are plans to do so, what are blockers, any public roadmap? Thank you.
Okay.
I
So
can
that's-
handle that.
Yeah, I like you.
So there is no deadline on that. And in fact, we don't intend to make Flakes the only way to use Nix. We want to be backwards compatible. So certainly it will always be possible to evaluate non-Flake Nix expressions. But we are trying to stabilize the new CLI and Flakes in a incremental way. So currently we're going through the new CLI and sort of auditing all the new commands to see if we can get behind declaring them to be stable, because we want them to be future-proof. So we don't want to stabilize something that we end up regretting. That process is now ongoing, and there's no hard deadline for that. But we want it to happen as quickly as possible.
Okay. Then I saw another question over on the Oncast instance by, you guys are not making this easy for me, Qless, I believe, Quiless. What is the first hire going to be hired to do? Is the question.
It's a great question. So the way we're looking at hiring, or just even now that we're doing the budgeting and allocating funding to the community or community related efforts, especially on the hiring part, we're looking to do that very tiered. Since this is the first ever NixOS related hire in like 20 years, we want to make sure that we're doing it minimally and then getting it right. So to the question, the first tier of hiring, we're looking for someone who can support the foundation at like an admin capacity, just to be able to help the foundation move faster. Kind of like, we are doing a lot of things that are related to everything from taxes to like talking to legal about trademark and payments. And these are a lot of things that are happening. So I think that's like the minimal tier, right? It's not even a full-time. It's like, come help us take notes, help us be more transparent with the community, just because everyone's super busy. That's one. And we're looking at like further stages of it. So there's also even a proposal made by a few community members that takes the role and grows it out even further to even help kind of like manage a lot of areas within the community and help like be boots on the ground to empower the community. But like I said, right, we're kind of trying to be thoughtful about the stages of it, and depending on how much funding we have, only allocating a certain budget, because still a lot of that budget that we have, we want to be allocating directly to like community events, sprints that people are running, meetups that people are doing to do actual like Nix engineering work or things like that.
Okay, thank you. Give me just 1 second, a little bit of technical things going on.
No worries. And by the way, if folks have like follow-up questions and we didn't fully give the answer that you were like the question that you were aiming for, do re-ask, do like push back, or feel free to also like push back on thoughts. Like, it is supposed to be a discussion. If people also want to join the call and talk verbally, I more than encourage folks to do that, but only if they want.
Okay, so the next question is one that got asked over on GitHub by David, I believe. It's about the commercial support trainings. It's issue 998 on GitHub, and he's basically asking if there's a way for the commercial support page, currently only listing consulting companies available for professional support, to be updated with other entries, I believe.
What's the
and
question?
If there's a workflow to propose this topic.
So the question is to add new providers, or?
I believe so, in the first place, like new providers, and also just like not per se only companies doing it, but maybe individuals as well. At least that's how I understand the question currently.
Yeah, in principle,
I can ask.
Make a pull request to get your company or yourself added.
I think the question also, correct me if I'm wrong, was about the fact that currently these are mostly listing consulting companies providing support, and this one was about like whether companies providing training rather than support could be added to that page. Which personally, I mean, I don't think there would be any issue with that. As Elko said, just open a pull request. Broadly speaking, I mean, the the main goal of that board so far has been to try and structure things, but make sure that the teams who are owning part of the community are able to actually do that. So hopefully this is not something that the board has to decide by himself.
And in general, though, having that commercial support page, part of the point there is to say that, you know, there are people who can help, there are people who can support you in deploying and using Nix, but there are also people out there who can help you learn Nix. And so from a growth perspective, it's all good to have those training resources.
Which is to say, I'm not sure if we do have a Nix trainings company that provides support. As far as I'm aware, I hope to be corrected.
There was also a little bit of a sub-question in there if it would also be possible to have books on there. So like books talking about Nix and NixOS, etc. That would also...
I think it's a good idea in general, and probably something that we need to kind of mature, right, as the community grows and the different things around the community grow, into kind of like a community, like, you know, the different supports and offerings across the community by the community. And then it totally makes sense for like books and guides and trainings and even content, right? People who are creating like just streams of Nix related content. I think that would be probably interesting to talk about and see if we can incorporate into a place where folks can land in.
So then on to the next question. Tobias asked, creation of the board is a great step towards a more mature setup and governance. Great job. My question on the mid/long term of this board, how will people get on the board, and would someone have to be removed for that to happen?
That's also a great question. I think so. That's something we've wanted to be transparent on from the beginning, saying, well, this board is mostly self-nominated. Well, this is not a good long-term situation, and we want to find another way. And we're also doing firefighting, so like it's hard to balance this. To be frank, we haven't really worked on that so far. Maybe we should, because that's an important topic. This is also a big topic to tackle, and in a further comment, I think Tobias mentions the Haskell Foundation, which did the same thing and then jumped into setting up some rules for how to select a board. I think that's something we're going to have to tackle in the coming month. We're also definitely open to suggestions on that, because it's a very tricky subject, and there's lots of ways to do that, most of which can be considered bad in many ways, and there's a lot of trade-offs to do.
By the way, Brian, are there people who want to join via video? Just out of curiosity.
That is an option. Could be an option, but then they would have to tell me who they are or what they name themselves on StreamYard. And we can also only have 10 people max in the entire thing at any given time. So
no, right, that's fine.
I'm seeing if... So again, you can ask questions on each and every single platform, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and the Owncast instance. Do not hesitate to do so, because currently I don't see any more questions, unless I am missing some. Oh, there's just one coming in from Martin. Oh no. Never mind, that was something else. So once again, if you have any questions, do not be afraid, and we do not bite. At least I don't believe we do.
Not virtually, at least.
Not virtually, yeah.
Like if there's no question, we can just actually dive into some board-related topics.
Sure, I will leave the call again, and then I'll come back in a bit. Is
Yeah.
that okay? Okay.
Okay.
See you in a bit.
Thanks.
To let us know if there's questions. So a few things. I think one, I'm certain everyone saw like the trademark updates. I'm waiting for a response from the team there just to like, since we're good on the pricing and the proposal, then the next steps should be getting an agreement out, reviewing their agreement, and then just signing off on that. Again, just to recap, process should take between 3 to 6 months, depending on the jurisdiction. I think in parallel, we should start drafting pretty much the trademark policy that can be made public to the community early on. And maybe as a good first step is just listing out, trademarks that are out there. Bilko, you mentioned, I think, Debian last week. Oh, not last week, it was this week. I have no idea what day it is. Does anyone specifically want to kind of like be responsible of the trademark policy definition, just to be able to funnel that work through one person?
I could take that over. I've started already looking a bit at the existing policies.
Okay.
And
any other questions? Like any other things on the trademark from folks?
I wonder if we've put the necessary agreements in place with the original artist. It was initially just sort of sent to us and then casually licensed as or offered as CC BY 4.0. And we might want to reach back to him and set up something proper there.
Giovanni, can you follow up on that?
yeah,
Thanks. Cool. All right, that's on trademark. On season of docs, I don't have any updates on that. I'm kind of just seeing what we need to do as a board to support that.
So just quickly there, like I did apply us to Google Summer of Code many years ago, and we were kind of denied. So Google runs Google, two programs. One is for documentation, one is for coding. So I think it would be really great if we can apply there and next year, and see if we can get in both of the programs actually, because like we always had people who were like students and wanted to contribute to Nix, and there was actually effort. The Summer of Nix was kind of a spin up from that. But yeah, it would be great to get us into those programs next year.
I think we have quite a few Googlers. I pinged a few of them. So let's see if a few of the Googlers can also help out. Like Fareed helped out a ton with the NixCon on the Google side. And
while I'm talking, we're also working on the sponsoring of events. I think we forgot to mention that. And I think it's more or less ready. There's just small bits to clarify. I think it's really cool that the foundation will be able to support all kinds of events, from meetups to sprints. It's always been, I think, really, really cool that the foundation can expand the scope of the budget to support like people meeting and talking about Nix. So if you go to the NixOS homepage repository, there's like a pull request for it. So it would be great to see people who are interested in that, to comment on it and to bring up questions if something is unclear, or if they would like to organize a meetup as part of the 20th anniversary. What kind of things they would need and so on.
Yeah.
So this is something also that we're looking feedback on and trying to support the community on this effort.
good call.
just so you know, there are some comments on YouTube. In particular, Martin is saying that they have some experience running GSOC and would be happy to help.
There's also this question then if the Google Summer of Code and Summer of Nix should be 2 events or just 1 event, and are they even compatible at all that regard?
Like gut feeling, they might be 2 events. I think Summer of Nix has just been a standalone uber success, I have to admit. The whole team there did a wonderful job, but yeah, I don't know what other folks think.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, so far, like, we're talking about Season of Docs anyway, which is, yeah, I think the Summer of Code is yet another thing that we haven't tackled yet.
I think the crux of this is actually a confusion of typing out Summer of Nix as Summer of Code when they meant to write SON and GSOC.
Yeah. But GSOC and the Seasons of Docs are also 2 different things.
Right.
So there's a lot of different things which I think should stay separate. Up to a certain point, the more we have, the better.
Yeah, I also agree. Like and also it's not guaranteed that the organization will get accepted into Google. So a lot of organizations started making their own stuff when they're not accepted. So I think it's good to keep our own thing going, regardless of if we're part of Google Summer of Code.
Nix Packager is fantastic. Nice. That is never a question, just a statement.
People are just pretty excited about it also in the Owncast instance. There's another question that I'm going to try to copy in here. Somebody at Owncast, or on Owncast rather. Can I pull that up? Yeah, there we go. So bban10 on Owncast asks, what are the goals of the board in the short, medium, and long term? I hear trademark, and I suppose that wholeheartedly, but I'm also interested in what the board's intention is.
I think that's a great question, and I think that's a good question for the entire room as well. So short, medium, long, and intention. General intention is that we're here to be like the board's role, regardless of who's in this room, is to be kind of like the stewards of the community, right? Support it where it needs to be supported, jump in where we need to jump in, but also handle pretty much all of the administrative things that are related to just having a strong baseline, right? We talked about trademark today, but there's like AWS buckets and payments and recurring like budgets planning that we need to do to make sure that we don't wake up one day and all of a sudden we run out of cash to support everything that we need in order to run Nix. So there's a lot of these like admin related tasks and someone has to do it. And in general, the kind of help provide information or help provide the data so that the community can kind of use that data to actionize and do the things they want, right? Because the community, like we all firmly believe that the community needs to stay a collaborative green field of innovation where anyone can come in and do amazing work. And there's a lot of like oiling the cogs to make that green field just be there. One of the other things that we talked about in the long term is also when we did kind of a retrospect to the past, where were there pain points that a foundation could solve for the community, is also something in terms of like the escalation path, right? So if something within the community gets blocked or implodes, the community, of course, is empowered to go solve it. But if the community is not able to or doesn't have time to, or someone went on vacation for a few months, like the community can know that they always have this group of people in the foundation that are there committed to, right? You can escalate it to us, and I can't promise that we'll solve it perfectly, but we'll be there to try and help out and jump in and do whatever we can to unblock and solve that. Short, medium, long, right? So I think on the short term, I think one of our goals was just setting all of these baselines up for success. Like you can see, trademark is coming up as a primary thing, and also like empowering teams and seeing how we can figure out helping out there. I will say a lot of the things we're kind of doing for the first time, right? So we are exploring them. We are testing them out. We are trying to see what is more impactful, what is more meaningful, what works more, what works less. And that's why we're also very kind of pushy on like, give us the feedback. And another example of something that we're trying to do short term is just like, spreading Nix knowledge, right? So all of these like State of Open, all of these conventions that have given us table, kind of we were able to get that probably most likely because of the fact that we came as the foundation, seeing if they have some way to collaborate with us at the foundational level. But I'm going to stop talking. I have like half an hour more of thoughts on this, and I see Teofan smiling, so maybe he wants to continue.
Yeah, actually, I think the question got cut somewhere between Overcast and YouTube and the copy paste here. Because the end of the question, which at least appears to me in the comment field in the comment stream, there's interested in what the board's intention is regarding oversight on technical changes as a fundamentally technical project. So more specifically on that topic, I think there's two directions. One is that we originally set out to set a broad, high-level roadmap for the project, or not set it, but let's overarch the design of that, which we've started but never really finished. And the other aspect is also that one of the main points of that board is to empower the community and not do things ourselves. I mean, ideally, as a board member, I like to just sit on my couch and see that the community is running well, which means that in an ideal world, this is not something that the board would do. There would be either a core team or individual teams which would set these technical goals, and the board should not bother too much about the technical side, just to make sure that there's no the responsibilities are clear cut. The board handles the organizational side of the community. Other people handle the technical side. That's not the case right now, just because we don't have the structure in place for that. So we're doing bits of both. But as I said, like the roadmap, we've started it, never finished it, because we probably don't have the bandwidth. So we're doing both badly. Hopefully in the future we can be focused on one part and have other people be focused on another one, so that everything gets done properly.
Okay, thank you. Then there's another question from Owncast that I missed a while ago, from Void. A technical question: when will cache.nixos.org signing key be renewed? Any plans?
I don't think we have any plans for that. And right now we don't have the infrastructure or the mechanisms in Nix to support key rotation.
Okay. Then over to the next one. Another question from, I believe, Owncast. Yes. So are there new efforts on moving Nix CI on PRs away from GitHub Actions and into Hydra or Hercules CI? Sorry. I think we can afford building an extra package on our cache or hydra.nixos.org instead of just relying on slow and impure GitHub Actions. I think we already have Hydra job sets for Nix, so why do we still use GitHub Actions?
So I guess that's a question for either me or Elko, because that's more a question for the Nix maintenance team. I've actually been working on the CI in the past. There's two answers to that. One is that we're already using Hydra a lot for Nix. It's just not the first CI that runs for everything, amongst other things for security reasons, because we can't have Hydra run untrusted code, while GitHub Actions is designed for that. And then we would like to expand on that, use Hydra way more than what we're doing. I guess the main reason that this is not the case is that currently we and the infra team are lacking the manpower to set that in place. Hercules is also something that we're looking at. But yeah, same thing, mostly lack of manpower so far to implement that. all of these are definitely alternative that we're trying to look into.
Okay, thank you. The next one, also coming from Omcast from E2, is the board involved in the RFC process? And if so, what's the plan and roadmap for Flakes? Yes, I am sorry, another Flakes question.
So I think this also ties back to Tufan's response, right, to the previous question. I think this question has two parts. But in terms of the RFC process, there's no formal tie between the board and the RFC process. We don't think there should be, right? The community should be making these decisions. We're here if things get escalated and if we can help out, right? But I guess we can also respond on the Flakes topic again as well.
Well,
Yeah,
there is an RFC actually for stabilizing Flakes, and I think it just recently got enough shepherds, so that's where the discussion should be.
Yeah, and as far as the Nix maintenance team is concerned, this is also something that we're working on. I mean, that's not a decision that the Nix team has to do, like that's RFC material. But on the Nix team side, we're trying to make everything ready so that eventually stabilizing flags would just be flipping some flag somewhere in the Nix code base, which, to be frank, has still, like, there's still some work to be done to make sure that it's really smoothened out enough to be stable, because it's widely used, but people are using it with little hacks here and there to work around the unfinished parts, which probably we want to reduce a bit the needs for these hacks before it being stable. But it's I think all the concerned parties, be it the Nix team or the RFC, the Shepherd team around that RFC about stabilizing Flakes, are working on that to make this as fast as it can be. But there's definitely no promise on the timeline.
And as Tom mentions in our chat, I don't know. Oh, that's a private chat. There's a Shepherd team meeting today for the RFC 136. So that should probably yield some good results.
Post that in the chat as well.
Yeah. Which is the first Shepherd meeting for this RFC. So nothing is decided yet, and probably things will move forward starting from tonight.
Okay, then there's a question from Ito Samuelson, I believe it's pronounced. Any plans on improving dev tools?
Ooh, would love for that question to be expanded slightly.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, hard yes, but let's talk actual.
Many plans.
He did expand on it. So many ... from documentation, better error or output of compiling to IntelliSense, etc.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Go ahead.
Yeah,
sorry. Go on.
Sorry. Kicking off 100% yes. I think. Right. Again, this is kind of community-driven work that is happening. There's no like explicit prioritization of like what should happen first, because it kind of like from the community side. I know that the documentation team is now meeting up to kind of restructure and build up a new team. So if anyone is interested in documentation, highly encourage again to get in touch with the folks there. It is a critical effort for the community. And I think he also asked about error messaging. I think that came in as one of the top pain points or feedback areas about Nix in the 2022 survey that we did. I don't remember the exact numbers, and I will definitely be exaggerating, but I think quite a good 100+ users out of the 1,000+ that responded. And I do know that there's efforts in that space. I'll let other folks kind of speak to them.
Yeah, I've been running the kind of like the funding to improve error messages, and Ben Burdett has been doing a lot of work on that. Besides everyone else in the community, which has been great. And I think we managed to finally get all our messages to output the stack trace and a lot of the low-hanging fruits that are really important to get done. I think for me personally, it would be really great if people started using the debugger more and kind of report how the debugger works for them. Because that's kind of like, where dynamic language becomes useful to debug, useful to understand the state of what's going on. But in general, the question back would be like, where does community want the messages to be improved? And I think that's where that feedback loop is where I think we still need to do work. A lot of languages out there, they have like an error messages catalog, and this is something that I think would be good to start, and so on. So there's, to put it shortly, there's a lot of work to be done there. So I hope that we can go and gather the feedback.
Somebody on Oncast asks, what debugger?
So probably there should be plans to improve the communication around what lands in Nix.
So the funding that we did was like mostly around creating the debugger, which obviously wasn't marketed well. But if you pass -- debugger to Nix, quite a few commands, I don't know which ones from the top of my head, you will get dropped into a debugger REPL kind of session where you'll be able to inspect the state of Nix, where the error actually happens. So, if you get like an error, cannot concatenate set and a string, you will get into debugger and you can inspect what, the two variables were and so on. So this is where I think we just need more feedback and obviously to market it better.
Which goes to point, we talked about documentation. There's also a marketing team if anybody wants to join. Yes, this whole session was just to market the debugger.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna run with a banner in a second.
We'll take that win.
I
on
think
to the next question, or
I think Nick asked something, right? Addicted.
Sorry.
I think Addicted asked where can board work and stuff like that be tracked, or
yeah, that one will come in a minute. There was one before that, if that's okay.
Yeah. Sure.
So this one got a little bit messed up in formatting, but it's whatever. So Ninja asked, despite some recent progress, the bus factor on the Nix project is still fairly low. Provided enough budget, hiring the main Nix contributors through the foundation could potentially limit conflict of interest. Do you think such a thing could land in the foundation scope at some point?
So I'll quickly jump on that. I think that's a topic that's definitely open for discussion. I feel like hiring core contributors kind of changes the landscape of an open source community very much. I can understand the benefits of it, but I also think that, like, who do you hire and kind of like, does that mean that the foundation like formally gives them power, which I don't think the foundation should be doing or can do. Like, I don't think we should have that ability. So I think it's an interesting topic, but like I feel like whenever we involve like community and paying people in the community to do community work, it's very different than let's say, there's a few companies here that that employ people to work on Nix. But yeah, I'm open. I'm interested in thoughts in that.
Yeah. To be frank, I think that's something that people have remotely on the back of their mind, but we've never talked about that. Well, first because we had other things on the agenda, and also because at least for now, the foundation budget is definitely not at a point where we can hire even one Nix contributor full time. Which means that I guess like asking that question. I mean, it's interesting to ask that question, like for like what it would mean for the community, as Ron mentioned, in terms of practical outcome. There's no real need to ask ourselves that question yet because we couldn't afford that.
Right, and I'll play both sides of it because I think this is actually a really good discussion to have, and I'm really happy to follow up on this question. Like, on one side, I do agree, right? Paying someone for full time, just hammering out Nix awesomeness, obviously has a lot of benefits. But then that becomes does that, and I'm removing my board hat for a second, does that give the board like power to decide what that person works on, right? Because at the end of the day, who's signing off on that person's like livelihood and paycheck? It becomes, the foundation. So anyways, I think it's an interesting dilemma, and kind of, if we can consider doing that, like, of course, budget is like a explicit issue, and I'll make the budget open so everyone can see that. But right, how can we structure it in a way, if we are ever considering it, so it has, it only is for the benefit of the community and doesn't introduce any potential conflicts?
I think also an interesting question would be maybe, to flip the coin, is like, why aren't you contributing to Nix? How do we, what are the blockers for people to contribute to Nix? Because, in Nix packages, we have, thousands of pull requests and so on, and a huge community behind it. So I think the board efforts should be, the Nix team kind of happened, I don't know, a few months ago, half a year ago. And probably many people don't even know it exists. So these are the kind of things that we should be talking about, and try to understand what's blocking people, and bring this to the board, bring this to the Nix team, and let's discuss them.
Yeah. And by the way, I'd also be interested too, like, one of the things I like to just look into is also just like, where has, like, other successful communities, like, how have these things operated? How has it worked? I think it's, we're not reinventing the wheel in a lot of these areas, and it's always beneficial to speak with folks who've done this.
Okay, thank you. Another one from the OwnCast instance. I don't even know how to pronounce that, so I'm not going to try. I'm sorry. It's on the screen.
Just pronounce Nick.
Yeah, that's
Nick. There we go.
Nick.
Can community members follow the work of the board?
So now I know why no one responds to Teofan and I anymore. So we've been actually posting. So yeah, there's the GitHub issue tracker, where we kind of, you can post things there, we can communicate asynchronously there, and then we kind of bring it up in the board meetings as well. And then and this is like, to the earlier comment about what will the first hire do, I think Teofan and I have been poorly posting notes whenever we're able to over the weekends, from the board meeting, so you can kind of track, right, what have we been talking about, what are our top of mind. And I think there is actually a tag for it in the discourse, right? I think it's like
development / foundation board or something like that.
Yeah. And excuse any like typos or stuff like that. It's probably us late at night just like copying over and trying to ship that out. But do let us know if there, and of course we've set up these quarterly things, but do let us know if there's other ways we can make it more transparent or more clear. What I started doing also is like a monthly recap, and I'll try to post that as well, just so you have like a TLDR of the items that the board is trying to tackle this month. But yeah, let us know how we can do more of that.
Yeah, I think the best part of what Ron said is like, what kind of format would the community like to see, from us? Because I think probably going through all those meeting notes can be quite a lot of work. So it's good to understand, what kind of granularity level we should kind of output. What is the roadmap? What are we working on? And when are things finished? Probably these kind of things would be interesting to see, so that we can kind of focus more on trying to make that information transparent, essentially, to the community.
Okay, thank you. There was another question, but I see that it already got answered in the chat itself. And then the next one is from another username that's, I'm afraid, ASDFGHYTER. That's how I'm going to pronounce it from now on. Is there any plans toward using an automatic documentation generation tool that can generate reference documentation from the comments in Nix code?
I mean, let's test it out. If it makes sense, then cool. I think that like if we can do a fast experimentation and it can do automatic, like, and it can actually be meaningful and not create just more docs that garner confusion. I don't know. I don't know if other folks have thoughts on that, but
yeah, I mean, I would say just
I
that's
think
just
it's referring to a Doxygen style tool, right? So extracting it from comments that are formatted in a certain way. And yeah, people have been working on that, but it's not standardized at this point.
Yeah, I think this is like a twofold answer. One is like, you know, the foundation shouldn't answer these questions. It's a very technical thing. But if if we do allow yourself to answer that, then as Elko said, there's different tools for that. I personally like Noogle.dev, which kind of documents a lot of the Nix packages library functions, and you can search through that and all of that. And it uses its own parser, and anyway, long technical discussion that we can go into, but we should.
I'm sorry, I'm running out of questions. That's why I pulled it up.
No, it's good. Actually, we had good questions. I think that last time we did this, we kind of talked in between ourselves for 45 minutes, which is always good. And I really appreciate, like, it seems like more people came this time around, and I hope that more people will come next time around. So this is great.
Yeah, something I take out of a number of the questions here is that a lot of the questions are like targeting at some very specific technical points, which, yeah, as Domen said, like, these are not something that the foundation should have to answer. And in a lot of cases, there are actually established teams who are trying to take ownership of these things, be it the Nix code base, Nix packages with the Nix packages architecture team, the website, which is owned by the marketing team, or the infra team, somewhere in the middle. But I think that raises, one first thing, which is that probably we should give these teams more visibility. And because I guess that if your people are asking questions here, it's because these teams are not visible enough. Actually, that was most of it.
I strongly agree with that. If we have other, like, ways, and again, this is why it's so community centric. If folks have, like, are ideating ways that we can test out, right, doing things like that better, surfacing community teams in the more systematic way, so that as Nix grows, right, they don't just come into and have to find stuff on their own, but, like, they can quickly find the more, the things that we want them to be able to land in. I think that would be amazing. Cool. So I think we have 5 minutes. If there's no other questions, I'm more than happy to give 5 minutes back to folks. I will say just one last call out on the Nix 20th, like, meetup, March of the Nix for March. I think there's more than 20 locations across the globe that people have been talking about setting up meetups. Go there. It's on the discourse. I'll make sure we also post it on as a reply to all the various channels that folks have been hanging around and asking questions in. Like, let's do a lot of Nix this month. Someone also asked, like, the role of the board and things like that. So another thing that we did as a board, right, was establish also, like, partnerships with folks like GitHub in order to help, right, get more eyeballs on things that are happening in Nix, like Nix meetups, so we can teach more people and meet new people. So if you have other ideas of how we can make March very Nix centric, let us know, or just do it. Other than that, that's all from mine. I don't know if folks have anything else.
Yeah, I would just say, like, people should ask themselves, why are they not organizing a meetup? We would like to know.
Yeah, we're organizing one in the Bay Area. So Bay Area, California folks, if there's anyone here, let us know. there's the Scale that's happening in Pasadena and South California. So that's like another Nix meetup because we actually have a Nix booth there. I know that Tweeg is running an awesome event already in Paris. There's folks checking, starting to organizing something in, I think, Germany. So like, do it. I mean, all you need is another person that's willing to respond to your Nix related topics, and you've got a Nix meetup, and pure magic.
Yeah, and as always, if somebody wants to come surf to Lanzarote, there will be a meetup too.
Yes, no one poking fun at everyone that's not sitting on a beach. Cool, awesome. Again, everyone that joined and everyone that asked questions and everyone that's watching this later, super appreciate it. Again, feedback. If there's a way for us to do this better next time, do this more, do this less, whatever it is, let us know, and we'd love to hear it. But for now, for folks that it's morning, have a good rest of the day. Folks kind of ending the day, good evening, and thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
And
See you.
have a nice whatever.
Thanks, folks, for the questions.
If I may hijack it and promote the marketing team, that would be great. So for those people that cannot make any Nix meetups, that's fine. We will also be trying to host more of these live streams, talking to the different Nix teams, more of these discussions, more questions, just have a good time, talk with each other, and figure things out together. We will be doing this, or at least try to do this every single week throughout March. So this marks the first one. The next one will probably on Wednesday rather next week, hopefully. But apart from that, I do wish you all a nice day or a nice evening or a nice morning or whatever. And I hope to see you guys soon again. Have a nice day.